people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Okay, we'll start with this. Per veteran boxing scribe Dan Rafael, after the fight, Benavidez said he would be moving up to cruiserweight to challenge Zurdo Ramirez per sources on both sides. The fight is signed and will take place May 2nd at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, pending Zurdo Ramirez winning January 16th versus Robin Safar on the Rocha versus Curiel rematch undercard. This momentous announcement did not come as a surprise to me, nor you, if you've been following this channel for at least the last year and a half, as I forecasted that David's campaign at light heavyweight would not last long. And how long did it last? 3 fights? Vosdick, Morrell, and Anthony Yard this past weekend. That's about it. Veteran boxing scribe Chris Mannix said, expect Goldenboy Promotions to do whatever it takes to make a Zurdo versus Benavidez fight next year. Benavidez would have to wait for Bivol and has not sounded interested in fighting Beterbiev without a belt. Zurdo would be a huge Mexican showdown. Define huge. Because I do not think that fighting Zurdo Ramirez in the United States would pay out to David what fighting Dimitri Bivol would pay out in Saudi. I think fighting Bivol would pay out more. Turkey El Sheikh is more than willing to pay above market value for a fight, but then again, I never thought that David would fight Dimitri Bivol. I never thought that he would fight Artur Beterbiev either, so this news comes as no surprise to me. This is what I always thought would happen. Chris Mannix added, the Benavidez versus Zurdo fight will be in Las Vegas, where Goldenboy Promotions is now based out of. Coincidence? I said it over a year ago when David Benavidez had a little meeting with Oscar De La Hoya postulating what it was those two could have been up to, what it was those two could have been talking about. And Zurdo Ramirez almost immediately came to mind. A fight with him. Further confirmation from yet another boxing scribe in Stephen Kimothy, who said, I just spoke to Eric Gomez of Goldenboy Promotions, the president, and he confirmed that Zurdo versus Benavidez is on for next May. It's absolutely a done deal. Now, you know what the fight being a done deal essentially means? That means the whole time that David has been doing the rounds on the podcasts and answering questions from the media about a Smith fight, about a Bivol fight, about a Beterbiev fight, that means the whole time he knew he wasn't going to fight those guys. He's bullshitting. And what did I tell you the whole time? He knows what he's about to do. To David, his mind is already made up, and I suspect he's going to fight Zurdo. He's not going to fight them. What have I been telling you for over a year? Whether or not you want to give him a pass for it is entirely up to you, but I said he's going to beat Anthony Yard, and after that, might go up to cruiser. Here we are. Underneath it all, David Benavidez and his team know that there are people like me out there that saw this coming, which is why he snapped at a member of the media over a question, though it was a legitimate question.
Why'd you prefer that fight over like a Bivol then?
There's no, you guys, I'm going to correct you guys where you guys keep saying that I don't get these fights, I don't get that fight. I don't get none of these fights because these guys don't want to fight me. If I would have had those fights available, I would have took that fight. The fight with Bivol, I was trying to fight Bivol for this fight. He didn't want to take the fight. I was, you know what I mean, with all these guys. That's why, like, I don't like people disrespecting me, saying that, oh, I'm talking all this shit, but I'm not taking the fights with these guys. These guys
wasn't disrespecting.
No. It's I'm talking about other people. You know what I mean? Stuff that I see on the internet. These people, they don't want to take the fight with me. If they wanted to take the fight with me, that's the fight would have been having. You know what I mean? So, I'm taking every big opportunity I could take. You know what I mean? It's been evident that I've been wanting to get the biggest fights, and they haven't been happening. Not on my end, on the other end of the other fighters. So whatever a big opportunity I see that we can make, we're going to make that happen.
Big opportunity? Buddy, you've been planning this for over a year. Don't try to make it seem like it's because Dimitri Bivol was not immediately available when you've been planning this since before you got that WBC title. You've been planning this since before Dmitry fought Artur. For the second time, you spent a lot of time planning this, and now you're presenting it as if it were spur of the moment. You guys have been planning this for over a year. I know because I've got the receipts. I documented it all. That's why I wasn't surprised when immediately after the fight, he said what he said. They've been planting the seeds for Benavidez versus Zurdo for a while now. David, his father, think about how it was that David even got a WBC title. Months ago, David Benavidez, like everybody else, was anticipating that there would be a trilogy between Dmitry and Artur. It's what the whole boxing world thought would happen, including David. And this is when he chose to pursue a Dmitry Bivol fight, when to him, Dmitry wouldn't be available because he's all tied up with Artur. He knew that, but he did it for the optics. The WBC, they helped him. It was about 1 or 2 weeks after Dmitry beats Artur in the rematch, the World Boxing Council decided to order the fight between Dmitry and David, jumping the gun. Knowing that they were not next in the rotation of mandatories, the IBF actually had first dibs, and knowing that there was an effort to do a third fight between Dmitry and Artur, even if it didn't happen. They didn't know it wouldn't happen at the time. As far as they knew, it was going to. And this is when they decided to go after Dmitry's WBC title, so they could make it seem like Dmitry's running scared from David, when as far as they knew, Dmitry was busy. If he's not busy with the Beterbiev trilogy, he's gonna be busy with an IBF mandatory. Because the IBF was next in the rotation. Not the World Boxing Council, but the World Boxing Council were complicit with getting David an email title without having to throw a punch, without having to fight Dmitry, because it was never really David's intention to fight Dmitry. That's why they had been planning this move for well over a year now, well before we got to this point. In case you need a refresher. I think a lot of people do. I think a lot of people in boxing have short memories, or they pretend to, because they don't want to acknowledge that this was carefully orchestrated. This was planned. And the spin job is David Benavidez now presenting it as if it's based on Dmitry not being available. Sure, buddy. That's why you and your daddy and the people on your side have been talking about this fight since late last year. Now, why does David Benavidez prefer Zurdo Ramirez to staying at light heavyweight in pursuit of undisputed? In pursuit of Dmitry. It's more reasons than one, I can tell you that. It's because in all actuality, Dmitry is a better fighter than Zurdo Ramirez with a peskier style. Harder to beat. Never mind the gym stories that David Benavidez has been regurgitating for 2 or 3 years now.
I beat Dmitry in sparring. I beat Dmitry in sparring.
It's a gym story. Fucking gym stories. You know who else had a gym story? Philippe Hergovic about Daniel Dubois. Philippe said that he beat the crap out of Daniel Dubois in sparring, and he did, but it didn't matter when they actually fought. Daniel beat him. You also had a gym story? You know who else? Zurdo Ramirez. He said the same things about Dmitry that you say about Dmitry, that he beat him in sparring years ago. But when they fought, who won? Dmitry. So I don't have any stock in David Benavidez's gym stories from however long ago. Gym stories don't win fights. It's not spar wreck. It's box wreck. Understand, the reason that David Benavidez has been regurgitating the same story to any member of the media that would listen is he wanted to condition the audience, plant a seed in their mind.
But David already beat Dmitry Bivol in sparring. He already beat him years ago in sparring a sparring session. So he doesn't have to fight him.
How bad did you really want to fight Dmitry Bivol when just 3 fights, just 3, into your light heavyweight campaign, you're already leaving to cruiserweight? How bad did you really want to fight him, and how bad did you really want undisputed? Leaving so soon? And how did I know you would? How did I know so many months ago that this is how it would all play out? That you'd leave this division having not fought Artur and having not fought Dmitry? How did I know that Zurdo? How did I know you'd go after him? It's easy. It's because fighting Zurdo is safer than fighting Artur. It's safer than fighting Dmitry. That's how I knew. That's how you and your team make your decisions, based on whatever is safer. It's why you didn't fight Caleb Plant when he was an unbeaten champion like you were an unbeaten champion. You waited for Canelo to knock him out
When it was safe.
and that's why you didn't unify titles with Zurdo Ramirez when he was a champion and you were a champion at super middle. You wait up until Dimitri Bivol takes him to school to want to fight him.
When it was safe.
Or did you forget that David Benavidez and Zurdo Ramirez both reigned as champions in the super middleweight division parallel to each other, and David made no effort to unify titles with him then.
When they were both unbeaten.
It's not really until Dimitri Bivol takes Zurdo to school and beats him handily that all of a sudden David and his team's interest peaks for a Zurdo Ramirez fight.
When it's safe.
As that's what they base all their decisions on. Safe fights. The pursuit of safe fights and safe money. That's how I knew we would end up here. That's how I knew this would happen well over a year ago.
Now, I'm not telling you that the Zurdo Ramirez fight is a bad fight. I don't think it's a bad fight, but I do think it's a safer fight than a Beterbiev fight, than a Bivol fight, as it is established that those two guys are better than Zurdo.
More dangerous than Zurdo. So compared to them, Zurdo is a safer fight, and that's why David wants to fight him. But that's not the only reason.
The weight.
You saw what David Benavidez looked like at the weigh-in for the Anthony Yard fight. Even though he won in dominant fashion, he still looked drawn at the weigh-in. He still looked gaunt. You know, moving up from 168 to 175.
That's really only a difference of 7 pounds. So if you're a fighter who was busting at the seams at 168 and then you move up to 175, it won't be long before you're busting at the seams there. It's really only a difference of 7 pounds for a guy 6'3" who walks around at 200 and change.
It's really not that much of a difference. It's not much reprieve. Before you know it, you'll outgrow that division too. A part of the reason that David is in a hurry to go to cruiser is because making light heavy isn't easy.
Still a big cut for him.
There is also the added bit about David wanting to stay in America and focus on America. Focus on Vegas, more specifically. Do you think David likes to be away?
Do you think he wants to fight the fights on neutral terrain, neutral soil, where there's no partiality, where he's not the hometown fighter?
No.
Or he's not the house fighter?
No.
He still wants those advantages. He wants those perks, but he doesn't necessarily have them at light heavy, whereas at cruiser against Zurdo, he doesn't have to travel.
Stay in America. Fight in Vegas.
As far as being the house fighter, you're going to want to pay attention to what happens after the Zurdo Ramirez fight.
If David Benavidez wins, you're going to want to pay close attention to what the arrangement becomes if David beats Goldenboy.
Might replace him.
You know, Zurdo has had a good career.
Yeah.
He's a decorated fighter in his own right.
Yeah.
But Goldenboy Promotions has not yet turned him into a draw.
There's a legitimate argument that David Benavidez is more popular than Zurdo Ramirez. Case in point, Zurdo's not even headlining his own show the next time he gets out. He's going to be fighting on the undercard.
Of Rocha versus Curiel. Bottom line, he's not a big draw. So maybe Oscar De La Hoya and Eric Gomez feel that they'd have an easier time selling David Benavidez fights than selling Zurdo Ramirez fights.
What do you think? Does that make sense to you? Because it makes sense to me.
Oscar De La Hoya told Shakur Stevenson that unless you sign to Goldenboy Promotions, you won't get a Williams Zepeda fight. Now, we know that Shakur eventually got the fight without having to sign to Goldenboy, but that's only because Turkey LL Sheik paid through the nose.
It's the only reason it happened.
Reason I say this is, do you think that Oscar would give David access to Zurdo Ramirez, one of the few champions he's got?
Without strings attached.
I'm telling you, you want to pay close attention to what the arrangement becomes if David beats Zurdo. Don't be surprised if David becomes Goldenboy's Golden Boy.
Things are now in motion that cannot be undone.
Things that have been in motion behind the scenes for well over a year now. Things that I already told you about, if you were paying attention.
I told you. Goldenboy Promotions would not sacrifice their unified cruiserweight champion to Jai Opataya on one of Turkey LL Sheik's shows because there's just not that much in it for them in that situation. But if they feed him to David,
On the premise that David goes with them and signs with them, and he becomes Goldenboy's Golden Boy, well, now you're cooking with oil, baby. You're cooking with rice. Pay attention to when they want to do this fight. May 2nd, the weekend of Cinco de Mayo. You know, if I didn't know better. I think you were trying to usurp Canelo Alvarez's date from him
To crown a new face of Mexican boxing. To garner all those Mexican fans that would normally support a Canelo Alvarez fight to support this fight. But more specifically, to support David Benavidez.
These are the moves that they're making. You can like it or you can lump it, but these are the moves, and I'm just telling you ahead of time. Like I told you, well over a year ago, that David would leave this division having not fought Dimitri and having not fought Artur to instead fight Zurdo Ramirez.
I'm telling you, this is about usurping Cinco de Mayo weekend from Canelo. This is about David migrating from the PBC over to Goldenboy.
This is about David becoming Goldenboy's new Golden Boy. They tried with Ryan Garcia, but he's just not good enough, not a serious enough professional, and he doesn't get along with Oscar.
He'd leave at the drop of a hat if he could. They tried with him. It's just not working the way they needed to. They've tried it with Virgil, but for whatever reason, Virgil just doesn't have his hands on the pulse of the Mexican-American fans, whereas with David, his career is a bit further along. He's been a champion at super middle. Now at light heavy, he aspires to become one at cruiser, so he's a more developed fighter.
And a more developed draw, a more developed attraction, at least, than Virgil Ortiz. David Benavidez has headlined 4 pay-per-views now. The Plant pay-per-view, the Andre pay-per-view,
That's 2.
the David Morrell pay-per-view, and this past weekend, the Anthony Yard pay-per-view.
That's 2 more.
With David Benavidez, a lot of the legwork has already been done by someone else. Now, what Goldenboy aspires to do is to put the cherry on top. And these are the moves. You can like it or you can lump it, but I'm just telling you, this is what they're planning. This is about David migrating from the PBC over to Goldenboy.
It's not about you specifically or you as a boxing fan and what you would prefer. This is not about you giving David a pass to leave the light heavyweight division.
To leave all that food on that plate, and what arguably are better fights at light heavy than what waits for him at cruisier.
It's not about that. We'll discuss personal preferences in another video. I'm just telling you here and now, these are what the moves are.
Things are now in motion that cannot be undone.
Now, you may be thinking to yourself that the success of all of this rides on a David Benavidez win, that for this to work, David has to beat Zurdo.
So now you find yourself questioning whether or not he can. Is it a lock? Does David Benavidez have what it takes to beat Zurdo Ramirez? And I dare say he might.
After this weekend's fight and what I saw from David, that the speed is still there, and speed kills. Zurdo Ramirez may be more seasoned at cruiserweight than David Benavidez is, but a lot of those guys Zurdo fought up there, they're slower than David.
Zurdo is slower than David. In spite of the changes to his base style, the 180...
Used to be a pressure guy, now he's a bona fide boxer, a mover, a jabber. In spite of those changes, he still doesn't have the same hand speed that David Benavidez has.
Stop dancing around the question! Does David have what it takes to beat Zurdo?
Well, with some effort and a little bit of help from Goldenboy Promotions, he might. I'm just telling you what the moves are. You can like it or lump it, but these are the moves, and this is what you can expect.